soil blocking better than using plastic containers? Well, today we're going to find out. Hey guys, welcome back. So I've always said as long as you're growing healthy seedlings, the method doesn't really matter. And I've tried almost all of them. I've started seeds using fruit containers, those Jiffy pellets, foam containers, newspapers, and winter sowing through plastic jugs. Basically, if it holds soil and has drainage in the bottom, I've probably used it. But today I'm totally stepping out of my comfort zone to try a new technique. Today I'm trying soil blocking for the very first time and I'm so excited about it. This was actually the first goal on my list for 2026. We're going to be diving into the process of soil blocking today, but first, before we get started, we need to check on everything that we started this month from seed. If you're new here, hi guys, my name is Marsha and I'm the Black Thumb Gardener. I live in Ontario, Canada, Zone 5B, and welcome to the channel. If you're new here, I'd love for you to subscribe, and if you're returning, welcome back and thank you so much for supporting my channel. Now let's get started. Okay guys, so the first update I'm going to give you are on the ranunculus and anemone corms, and we started this the second week of January and look how much they've progressed. I'm amazed with how quickly these are growing. Here are the ranunculus. You can see the leaves are different from the anemones. This is what the leaves look like. And we started these together, and I have that video, add that in the description below, but I've been keeping my updates on Instagram. So if you're interested in following me on Instagram, I'll add that in the description below. But look at the progress. I'm shocked, guys. Now this year I started my ranunculus early because I wanted to get blooms really early, like in April. So hopefully things are going to pan out for me. So follow along if you're interested in seeing that journey. But I'm just amazed at the progress here. Now I'll be potting these up in the next couple of weeks to individual containers, and they'll continue to grow on in the grow room, and I'll be transplanting them outside probably in March. And then we'll see what happens from there. I'm so excited, guys. This is amazing. This is working out exactly how I expected. And let's move on to the next one. Now we're going to check on the onions and celery we started from seed. And we started these a couple of days after we started our ranunculus and anemone corms. And with the red onions, I started Cabernet. This one is doing really well and it germinated after a few days. And then my Walla Walla onions are not doing so well. So the issue I had with my Walla Walla onions is that I started really old seeds. I honestly don't throw away my seed packets until I've used every last seed, just because I just don't want anything to go to waste. Now, the only issue with doing that is you end up with really low germination rates sometimes. And that's the issue I had with the Walla Walla onions. So what I did is I already had a backup seed packet from this year. So I just popped that on top and the seeds are already starting to germinate here. So if you are having issues sometimes with germinating your seeds, and if you have older seed packets, it could just be the germination rate. You can do a paper towel test to look at your germination rate of your seeds if they're a bit older, but I don't think there's anything wrong with using older seed packets. You just have to be mindful that you may not get as high a germination rate as if you used a newer seed packet. And for the celery and onion video, I'll add that in the description below. The celery has taken so long to germinate, and this is what they look like after about 2 weeks. They're really, really tiny. So if your celery seeds haven't germinated yet, don't worry, they're on their way. Now, if you are new to starting celery and you want a step-by-step guide, I have the ultimate celery seed starting guide in my blog. I'll add that in the description below. It walks you through how I start my seeds, how to pot them up, transplant them into the garden, and also how to harvest them. So if you're interested, I'll add that to the description below. So the next container we're gonna look at, we started these seeds last week, and I'll add that video in the description below. And in this container, we have geraniums that have already come up. We have some lavender. I see 2 seedlings that are up right now. And we also have some eucalyptus and begonias, Bada Bing white begonias and Bada Boom pink begonias. And all 3 of these have not germinated yet, and that's okay. This entire tray needs to be watered, it looks like. So I'll finally add the wicking mat and the reservoir for the Grow Ease kit. And then we also started some violas and pansies, and those haven't come up either. Again, it's only been a week, so I'm not really expecting any germination yet. But the fact that the geraniums and the lavender has already come up is very exciting, even though it's been, I think, less than a week at this point. Now that we have our update out of the way, we can finally move on to getting our soil block started. Now to do this, I'm using the Pro Mix seed starting mix. You can use potting mix, you can use compost. I've seen people use other mediums, but I'm going to be using what I have. And this is great because I'm running out of seed starting mix. So I think starting soil blocks will be a good way to preserve a lot of the seed starting mix, and I don't have to spend as much money as I usually do. Now I'm going to be sifting out my seed starting mix because there are a lot of wood pieces that are in there, and I've even found rocks. So I want to get all of that out and have a good medium to start my soil blocks in. Now I don't think I need a lot. I think this is enough. Now this sifter I picked up at the dollar store. It's not actually a soil sifter. I actually don't know what it was for, but this I got from Dollarama. Oops. Just gonna break this up a little bit more. Okay, I think we're done. Look at all this stuff in here. You don't need any of this stuff in your soil blocks. I think I have some more soil in here, but I'm just gonna try and break this up even a little bit more. Make sure I have all the soil. Okay, I'm gonna come over here and show you. This is what it should look like when you're done. Nice and fluffy. Guys, this feels incredible. I don't know if I'm gonna do this well, but I'm gonna add all of this to my mixing bowl like this. Oh no. Oh no. This is why you have to have a potting mat, because honestly, seed starting can be so messy. Okay, there we go. All right, I do have a lot still left on the table and a lot on the potting mat, but that's okay. All right, there we go. So I'm gonna add some water. I think we have the consistency that we're looking for, so I'm just gonna put it in this bucket because I noticed that people have a pretty deep bucket when they're doing it. I don't know if you really need that. This is what it looks like. Okay. Messy hands. Okay guys, so we're back upstairs and I brought my container full of the seed starting mix with me. I think we have the right consistency right now. So the soil blocker that I'm going to be using today is this 20 cell mini soil blocker. I think the seedlings are going to outgrow this in like a month, but that's okay because I'm just getting started and I wanted to try this out. Now, this was a bit of an investment and I didn't buy the next level up just because it did cost about $50 for this, and I know you can get it cheaper on Amazon, but I bought this from Lee Valley, and I personally like supporting my local Canadian suppliers. So I thought this was worth the investment to get started, but I'm not sure if I'm fully committed to soil blocking yet. I want to try it out, see how it works, and then maybe upgrade later on. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be starting the seeds today in this soil blocker, and then I'm going to be potting it up into containers. I know that kind of defeats the purpose of using the soil block, but I personally want to get started and see how it works, get familiar with it, and then once I feel like I'm confident in soil blocking, and then make the investment to up the size of the block. So I also noticed that a lot of gardeners who do soil blocking use cafeteria trays, and I don't have one of those, so I'm going to be using this from Bootstrap Farmer. I think it's perfect. It also has drainage, so if I want to water it, I know that water is escaping through the drainage hole. All right, guys, so it's time to get started. is what it looks like. Okay. This is what it looks like. Okay. Oh no! Oh, friggin'. Oh, where did these three? Okay guys, so the hardest part that I found in trying this out is not filling the reservoir with soil, but actually when you press it, making sure that you have an even distribution or a uniform distribution of the cells. So this is my attempt right now. I have 16 cells here and I'm perfectly happy with that. I wasn't expecting perfection the first time, and I definitely think I need to practice at doing this some more before I even want to invest in anything else. But I'm happy with the result, and I think I just need to work on like my pushing down motion and making sure all of the soil gets out and onto the container. So guys, let me know in the comments what I'm doing wrong, what else I should change, because I'm definitely a newbie at this and I definitely can use all of your tips. On that note, I do need to check my garden planner to see what I need to start today. And this planner works on my last frost date. And I love that because a lot of the seed packets work on days or weeks before your last frost. And this is great because you can enter your last frost date and then you can count the weeks back so you know which week you're actually in. And then you can plan out the seeds that you're going to be starting in that week. Okay, so today I need to start rosemary and thyme. So I do have a monthly calendar here as well. So if I want a calendar view, I can look at the calendar view, or I can go to my regular planning guide, look at the number of weeks for my last frost and looked at what I planned for this week. And I can see that I have rosemary and thyme left. And I also have a reference section so that if I want to look at weeks 14 to 16 before my last frost, because that's what I'm in right now, then I just look at weeks 14 to 16 and see what I can plant for my zone. First up is English thyme. I use it every day and never have enough. Now, a viewer actually commented recently that we always limit ourselves to the space in our raised beds, but what about the rest of the landscape? Now, I've been thinking about that more and more, and it's so true. While I love the control of my raised beds, English thyme is incredibly hardy down to zone 5 and can even survive in zone 4, so it should have been no problem surviving our winters here. So I'm going to take that viewer's advice and use these to start integrating herbs directly into my permanent landscape this year. Now moving on to rosemary. Unlike thyme, rosemary is a bit more sensitive to our cold winters, and because of that I'm going to keep these in my terracotta pot so I can move them around or bring them in if I need to. But by starting them this early indoors, I'm hoping to get a much larger harvest and maybe even a few stalks for cooking sooner in the season. I'm adding a layer of vermiculite to the top of these, and it looks like one is starting to separate, but I really have to keep an eye on them so they don't dry out. So I'm also adding a humidity dome or some plastic wrap to help them along. And that's it guys, my first soil blocking experience is done. Now don't forget to subscribe to follow along with the progress of these seedlings. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.